Supercars Sessions, we're into the 6th week of this already as lockdown on the East Coast continues onwards. My fellow lockdown buddy here in Melbourne, Dave Reynolds, on the call. We've got Macca Jones ready to go.
G'day.
We've got CHAZ MOSTERT up there in Queensland. And we've also got Jake KOSTECKI. Thanks for joining us, boys. We've whittled down these sessions to have less people on it so we get more chat going at once. All the big talk this week, fellas, seems to be the news about Bathurst. Got a couple of past Bathurst winners on here. CHAZ, what do you reckon about wrapping up the year at Bathurst, mate?
It's going to be unique again, being the finale for the championship again this year, but it was the same last year. So tough times. We've got to obviously change the schedule and keep the racing happening. But yeah, it'll be a bit weird for us. I mean, we're always used to driving it in October, but to have it finish in December will be a little bit weird for us again. So yeah, the biggest race of the year, also the finale, is a lot to play for.
How about running the race in December, boys? Jake, how does that change things? We ran there in February. It was warm, but it wasn't too gross.
It's not a big difference for me. Obviously, I'm just keen to go racing again. It's probably a big thing for all the co-drivers that don't race all year round, and then they're probably going to have to quarantine around Christmas time. Might be a little bit tricky for them, but I think Supercars will get it all organised and hopefully it can all happen. And
Macca is the fittest guy on this call. I mean, second only probably to me. I'm definitely like this.
Yeah.
Preparation-wise, does it change anything that you do in the lead up to the race?
Sort of like the other guys, I'm just pretty keen to get racing, and I think it's always cool to finish at Bathurst. I mean, it's such a big hype to that race meeting that it's I think it's a good send-off for the 2021 season, and I think I'm probably the only driver actually in New South Wales, so it's not so bad for me. It's pretty close to home. It's one of the rounds we get to drive to and just travel up with the family. So it's yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm pretty damn excited that it's all sort of locked in and going to be happening.
Hey, we've got the SAS Australia show back on air on Channel 7. You had a pretty cool chance to go and work with those guys for a day. What was that like?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it was a pretty big challenge. I mean, I don't think I've ever exercised in that way where someone is absolutely screaming at you, telling you how insignificant you are. But it was a lot of fun, and it was pretty tough conditions. I mean, it's like about -3 degrees on the mountains on the way there. It was pretty brutal, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'd actually love to do the show sometime. Hopefully, it would be in the off season, but yeah, I think it would be really cool to do.
You had
maybe you should have went.
Hey?
Dave, maybe you should have went on the show. You could have screened that.
One day I will. You never know. I'd love to do it. I reckon it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think
It'd be
cool.
cool.
Cold water sucks, but it'd be fun.
Nah, that's all right. You get used to it.
Yeah, true.
Get used to it.
Getting up at 3 a.m. is probably the worst part to do a 2-hour workout, but yeah, I think there'll be some jumping out of helicopters and shit. That'll be fun.
No, that's I love it.
Would you do it, CHAZ?
Nah, I'm okay. I think I'll just like I normally roll out of bed about 9:30 in the morning, so yeah, it's probably a little bit before my shift getting up for the day. I'll just leave it up to the professionals and the super fit guys with their fancy diets and their burpee records.
Burpee records. World records, man. Get it straight.
Yeah.
Hey, CHAZ, we've heard heaps of people have these really cool projects on the run in the season break. Cam's got the build of his XB coming along, and a few other guys. Bryce is building a drag car. Have you got any cool projects that you've been working on?
The sleep's been going quite good. Feel rested and ready to go for the back part of the season. So yeah, look, obviously, like the boys said, we're going to be racing into December. So yeah, we'll just been treating this little break as a bit of an off season. Been doing a couple of little secret things and projects in the background. But yeah, it's been good.
E-Series for you. You've had an okay run. You've got the hottest co-drive seat next week because you're sharing with the championship leader, I imagine.
I was actually like waiting for Dane to have an absolute terrible round or something and then not put so much pressure on me. So I've asked if Bryce can actually do next week, so it takes complete pressure off me. I'm still pushing for that. I've still got a few days to try and make that happen. But yeah, obviously Dane's doing a fantastic job for the team, you know, with the Pro E-Series guys. And, you know, you watch the race on TV before we get to do our session. And, you know, I just don't know how they do it. It's just so cool to watch. So, yeah, very lucky to be teaming up with him for Bathurst, feeling more pressure than what I would do driving in the real world.
you finally know what it's like to be a co-driver now, I guess, because they carry all that pressure in for the main game guy.
Yeah, but I mean, co-drivers obviously feel some level of confidence because they've driven cars for a long time. But when you're trying to race in the virtual world, you're trying to use sensors that it doesn't feel natural to you. You know, you're trying to see what a car does and hear what a car does instead of actually feel it move underneath you. So I always seem to struggle with that. I struggled with that last year, and I think I still struggle with it this year a little bit, to be honest. But I really enjoyed this year a lot more with the E-Series because, you know, I'm definitely not doing as many hours on it as and try to treat it like the real world where you might jump in for half an hour before and do some laps. So, yeah, it was enjoyable last night, and I'm looking forward to the last 2 rounds of that.
Hey, Jake, we saw Jaden Ojeda have a run out at Queensland Raceway, trying to have a bit of a shakedown. Did you hear how he went?
Yeah, he obviously did a few laps in Zane's car. I think he's looking pretty good to get the co-driving seat there, but I'm not too sure what's the go at the moment. But yeah, it was pretty fast. I didn't keep a close eye on him, but I had my own program to go through. So, but what I know is he did a good job.
How are you lining up for Bathurst this year, and how's next year looking for Matt Stones as well? Because there's still a couple of little question marks there around cars and drivers and third seats and all sorts of things.
Yeah, everything's still playing on in the background now, but it's all looking pretty good so far. We just got to keep getting our little ducks in line, and we'll see what happens. But it's looking pretty positive so far.
Davey, he's going all over the place the last couple of weeks. Andre is on the move. How did that news sort of break with you guys at Kelly Grove Racing?
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise to me to see Andre move teams. Obviously, myself and Andre got the same manager, John Ruggiero, and the whole time I thought he was pretty much done a deal and it was all pretty much, you know, full steam ahead. And then the night before the announcement, I got a call from someone saying Andre's moving on. I was like, I didn't know. Like it kind of come out of left field for me. So it was a big surprise. I get on really well with Andre. Like he's a strange character. Anyone with a pet snake is strange to me. But he's really good to work with. He's pretty easy, pretty simple guy. Doesn't complicate stuff too much. So yeah, I think he's going to be missed.
It's cool that they've thrown their support behind a young guy, but it's going to be difficult for him to sort everything out, particularly super licenses and everything like that. It's no done deal that Matt's going to be in that car next year. Hey?
Yeah, that's correct. So far, like Matt's, you know, obviously he's, you know, young up and coming kid, doesn't have a whole lot of experience. You know, it's really up to the team itself whether they want to chuck him in. Right now, they're sort of 50-50.
Are they going to try and give him a Super 2 ride or something like that for the rest of the year? Get him in one of the lessons?
I think so. I think last time I spoke to the boys, I think they would like to do some sort of Super 2 stuff towards the end of the year. I think he needs to drive a supercar before he goes straight into the main game. So, you know, if you can get him up to speed as quick as you can, that'd be good.
Either way, you're probably going to take on a bit of a mentor role. CHAZ has been an awesome mentor with Bryce. Is that something that you'd like to try and do?
Does anyone really look up to me? Like, yeah. So, like, I'd help anyone. It doesn't matter in the garage next to me or in another team. So, you know, I'm pretty transparent in how I go about my job, and you know what works for some people doesn't work for others. But you know, I can try and help anyone out, especially Matt if he comes in and drives full time. I'll try and help him out as much as he can to get up to speed and you know drag the team up the grid.
CHAZ, the world seems to be talking about a few drivers, and Bryce's name's getting passed around. I won't ask you what's going on there for next year because it's wrong to ask you that. But if you had any advice for him, because you've been in his corner for the last couple of years, how have you been sort of treating this time for Bryce?
Well, the first thing I wanted to know why Dave Reynolds didn't help me much back in the day. You know, I realised that Dave actually doesn't know actually, Dave doesn't actually know what happens on the track anyway. I think he closes his eyes as he leaves the pits and then he opens them when he's back in pit lane. So I'm not sure he actually knows exactly what happens out there. So now it all makes sense to me, Dave, why he didn't help me out. But yeah, look, obviously there's a fair bit of news and silly season and all that kind of stuff, but I've kind of been off the grid a little bit over this break. So I'm not too sure exactly what's going on. Obviously, talked to Bryce a fair bit, you know, check in how he's going. Obviously, he's in lockdown in Melbourne at the moment as well. I'm only a good person from my team that I'm lucky enough to be in Queensland, but I know how hard the teams are doing it at the moment, definitely down in Melbourne. And like Dave said, you know, after last year, the Melbourne teams, what they had to go through, and then possibly look like it might have to happen again this year. It's, we're so lucky and grateful we got these teams and these people from Melbourne that commit so much to our sport to make it happen. So I really hope all the fans out there know the sacrifices that people are doing to keep this sport going.
I'll bring Macca in on this discussion as well, because obviously Nick dropped the bombshell, didn't he? Is it fair to say that hasn't gone down well in the team? Is that a fair statement?
I wouldn't say it's not gone down well. I think it was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. And it's pretty fresh in the team's mind, I guess. I mean, he had a chat with everyone there, and yeah, it's just probably more of a shock than anything else.
I thought maybe that he said it was a hard conversation to have. With Andre moving in, are you excited to work with Andre again? You had that little brief moment with the team a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job when he was with us at that Gold Coast round and that era. So I am pretty excited. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about him. I haven't had much to do with Andre, but seems like a pretty quiet dude. But he's been doing really well this year, and I think he's going to be a good addition to the team.
How did you find out about all that sort of unfolding? Was it Nick who sort of told the team and made an announcement, or how did that all get unfurled?
I'm at the workshop every day with the office next to my dad, so we've sort of been working through that of me more calming him down and me being here. So it's obviously been a fair bit going on behind the scenes for a little bit, but yeah, I mean, really the team sort of all figured out this week, really. So it's it's still pretty fresh here.
Dave, the other big news obviously is the switch with Groves taking over permanently. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Have you enjoyed working with Steve and Brenton so far this year?
Yeah, I've known Steve and Brenton for a long time. And when they bought 50% of Kelly Racing at the time, that was a bit of a surprise to me. But I kind of, in the back of my head, I kind of knew they would buy out the whole team eventually. I just didn't realise it would happen that quick. As long as Todd has some involvement, I think going forward, like Todd's got a wealth of knowledge, lots of experience. You kind of need a lot of people. You need people like that in the team to help out in the background. Yeah, I think I see it as a really good thing because, Stephen and Brenton, they're very focus driven, very, passionate people, and they just want to win. So they'll do whatever it takes to win. And you kind of need that in our sport. So I'm, loving the fact that they've bought the entire business.
And Jake, to wrap it up, your time at Mattstone Racing, certainly the results have been improving so far this year, but how much do you enjoy being around that workshop? Because there's a bunch of really cool people involved, from Aaron Seaton right up to Stone Brothers themselves dropping in. How much do you enjoy being out there at Yatala?
It's good. It's obviously only 30 minutes from where I'm staying, so I drop in there quite a bit. And yeah, like you said, they've got a lot of history in the background, so it's cool to be racing with them and just learning for what they have. And I think we're doing a good job so far. And last year in the Superlight program was a big stepping stone for me. And then now this year full time, we've just been improving every round really, and just trying to work on our qualifying speed and then turn it into race pace as well, which I think we've been doing. It's just now for me, I think it's just getting a whole weekend in line at the same time. So but we've got a few more rounds to go, and I think we can do it, and looking forward to it.
What's the plan for you engineer-wise for the rest of the year? Because you've had Chris Stuckey for a few. You've gone really well with Chris.
That's obviously been a little bit tricky for us with COVID involved as well. I've had 3 engineers so far, and another one just yesterday on a test day. So had 4 so far this year. So that's probably hurt me a little bit and been a bit hard for each round. But now there's plans in place for the future, and hopefully we can make it happen. Yeah,
right. Okay, that's interesting to know. Thank you for that. I think Jack's done a really good job with Zane as well. So it'd be cool to see you get a guy like Jack who you can work with sort of full time, I reckon. Yeah, for sure. It's only his first full-time year in Supercars as a race engineer, and I think he's been doing an awesome job so far. And luckily for me, he's an engineer that wants to work on my car as well, so I get to talk to him in the workshop. So it's been good for the whole team, really. Nice. Good job this year, buddy. Keep it going. E-Series has been going all right for you guys as well, so looking forward to Bathurst. Thanks, Chad. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Hopefully we can get
David a wild card out there in a Mario suit. Hey, Dave?
Yeah, I'll wear a Mario suit. Just make it fireproof and put Penrite Racing on there, and I'll wear it.
Hey, Chaz, you know how Ricardo gets to drive Dale Earnhardt Wrangler car now that he got that podium. But do you get anything cool if you win Bathurst?
I don't know. Zach won't answer my calls anymore. Obviously, all these drivers that he's involved in keep succeeding on track. So obviously, I want to try and get in on the deal somehow and drive something cool or be involved in something. But he just after, I think it was just before Dan, I think when they had the IndyCar success, he basically turned his phone off. So yeah, Zach Brown's not answering my calls at the moment.
Do you reckon Michael Andretti's really going to buy a Formula One team?
I'm not sure. It depends if you're reporting it on April Fool's Day or not. I mean, there was obviously you never know with those guys. One minute they're racing a car at Bathurst, and now they're buying a Formula One team. You just can't keep up. So yeah, obviously we'll wait and see what happens.
That'd be cool. Then you have your two bosses racing against each other in Formula One. That'd be interesting.
Well, yeah, they're a little bit like that in IndyCar, obviously, which is pretty cool to see. So obviously they do talk to them from time to time, and the banter on those phone calls against each other. So I mean, it would be good if you got into Formula One as well, because obviously they ready into each other in the IndyCar series, so they're always trying to get one up on each other. So it's we'll see what happens.
All right, gang. Thank you very much for your time. Always enjoyable when Dave's on the call. And,
Thanks, Chad.
I can't wait to see you all soon. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later and at a racetrack.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah, mate.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you, Chad.